You ready for me to blow your mind?
I'm ready.
You ready? I played sports was to get out of class and to talk to girls. Oh my God, that winning feeling is incredible.
Well, welcome to the Athletes in Sports podcast. We have a very special guest today, Nelson Thomas. Nelson, thanks for being on. And I'm just going to start off with, what's one thing you've learned about yourself this year that you maybe didn't expect?
There's no limits. Becoming an amputee, and for all y'all don't know out there, I did lose my foot. It's covered up right now. But, when you get into this world of amputees, you think that you're not able to do everything that an able body can do. Then you realize that, wow, I can do these things. I just had to impose my willingness to do it. You have to go out there and put yourself out there. And that's one thing I've learned.
Awesome. Nelson, I know, we'll get into the MTV, the show that you were on MTV, and a little bit more about what your future goals are. But I want to kind of take a step back to the younger you, 5-6 years old. What's Nelson doing, as a young kid?
Man, I was a troubled kid back then. I was raised by an amazing mother. She raised 2 kids in poverty. Didn't have a dad at the time, but I was looking for attention in all the wrong places. And growing up as a black African man in Inglewood, California, it's rough. So, I went down a bad path. But then everything changed when I went out to Texas. My uncle took me in, and next thing you know, my whole life, my whole trajectory, I don't know what it was, but he didn't give up on me, and I never thought I'd be living the life I live right now.
Now, when you were young, were there any certain sports that you were playing? I know athletics is a big part of your life, but when you're that young age, was there anything that really captivated your time?
What's crazy? I didn't start playing sports till my sophomore year.
Wow.
Yes, and the only reason I played sports was to get out of class and to talk to girls. But yeah, man, I played football, I ran track, and the only reason I did those things because my friends did it. And growing up, when you're living in Texas, all they know is football.
Right.
So football is life to them. But man, I was really, really good. And I went to college for a little bit, but I never wanted to go to the NFL. I never wanted to be pro. And honestly, I think sports really helped me figure out who I was and to we have so much doubt in ourselves when we're kids because we think we don't have the Nikes, we don't have the Jordans, we don't look the part, we don't have the dad on the sideline cheering us on. So that really takes a toll on kids. But having friends and family and that camaraderie really brought everything to life.
Yeah. What would you say, what really stood out to you, starting in sophomore that kind of sports brought to your life that you didn't expect?
I think coaches, coaches play a big role in sports. They're like a dad that you never had. They care about you, they'll yell at you, and honestly, they just want the best for you. And I looked up to my coaches like they were my own dad, and they really guided me to where I'm at now.
Yeah, coaches are a huge part. I'm coaching my son's hockey team right now, and you can just tell, you spend a lot of time with those kids, no matter what age, and you're interacting with them almost more than some of the times your parents are because you're spending so much time with them, at sports. So that's a great point, just how important coaches are for these young kids.
I agree. You have a lot of kids then.
you're in charge of a lot. Now let's get into a little bit about, so you were on MTV. Talk about how you got the opportunity to be on TV.
You ready for me to blow your mind?
I'm ready.
You ready? All right, so one day one of my friends had said, hey, you want to go make some money, have a free lunch? And I said, yeah, what do I got to do? Let's be an extra on a show. I was like, what show? Friday Night Lights.
Okay.
Where Michael B. Jordan was a quarterback.
Wow.
He was a teenager at the time. And I was like, what? This is crazy. So I fell in love with being on set. Man, they worked my butt off for that $100. They got a good amount of hours out of me, y'all. But after seeing these actors bring these characters to life, man, I really fell in love with that. And then at that time, I was graduating Texas State University. I was working in nightlife as a door guy, and I didn't know where I wanted to go. And then next, you know, my agent calls me and said, hey, you want to do this dating show? I'm like, what dating show? He said, Jerry Springer. I was like, hold up. I ain't got no kids, no baby mamas. What are we talking about, right?
Why am I going to be on Jerry Springer?
Yeah. But he was hosting a show, 20 guys and one girl. It was called Baggage on the Road.
Okay.
I ended up winning that show.
Wow.
Yes, I know, right?
What does that mean? What is winning that show?
You get a $100 gift card to Texas Roadhouse, and then the girl that I thought that I was going to go on a date with, I come to find out she had a whole boyfriend at home.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, wow. This is what I walked into. But then a couple months down the road, I get a call from MTV. Say, hey man, would you like to try out for Are You the One? And that's Finding Love. Well, let's just say I found love in all the wrong places. But I ended up winning that show.
Oh my
gosh. I had a
gosh.
little temper back then. So I acted out. And I don't know if you know anything about reality TV. They love a person to act out, right?
Yeah.
So next thing you know, a couple months down the road, I get another call saying, hey man, you want to try out for the challenge? I was like, yeah, man. I didn't know what the challenge.
I've won 2 shows now. Like, I'm ready.
Right, let's go. Paying school loans off with those. But I had no idea what the challenge was. I didn't watch reality TV at all. I go onto the show thinking all I got to do is flirt, have fun, have a good time. We're shooting in Mexico. Next thing you know, dude, I'm competing in Mexico called the challenge. And these are physical challenges. I am talking about running miles, swimming, puzzles, anything that you could think of, eating crazy stuff like cow balls. That's how I was.
It's like Fear Factor on steroids a little bit.
Exactly. Fear Factor and Survivor on steroids, dude. So then after winning my first elimination, I was like, dude, imagine Friday Night Lights. Lights are all on you. The audience is in the stage and everyone's looking down at you. And next you know, you blow the horn, you just go. Oh my God, that winning feeling is incredible. I can't even describe it. And after I did that, I was like, man, this is what I want to do. I got called back for 9 more seasons.
Wow.
Yes, I've competed in Thailand, Croatia, South Africa, like around the world. And it was a blessing, man.
Crazy. So what have you learned about yourself just through that experience? I'm sure it's physically demanding, mentally tough. You know, at our foundation in sports, we talk a lot about just helping kids get through some of the mental things. You know, when sports are tough, when things at home are tough, and so how do you just push through some of those tough moments?
You know, I think I could go back to when I was playing sports, and I felt like I wasn't good enough. You know, when I walked onto the challenges, you look at all these other competitors that have done it for so long, you're like, okay, man, what do I need to do? Well, you got another chance. Let's adapt. Let's get better. Let's get better each time. I've seen myself grow on TV. I've been on this show since I was 24 years old.
Crazy.
I am 37 years old now. So there's not the greatest highlights on that show, but people have seen my growth throughout the show. And that's one thing I've realized about the show. I didn't hide who I was. I was honest, I was straightforward, and I was real. And to watch yourself on TV and like, wow, I acted like that. My mom saw it. Like, my mom looked at me like, Nelson, are you serious? I taught you better than that. But, you know, the biggest thing I got out of that show was not just the experience, but being able to travel the world. It changes your whole perspective on life and what life is really about, you know? And it gave me opportunities that I never thought doors were even open.
Did you find something beneficial from this Athletes in Sports podcast? Please share this episode with a fellow athlete, coach, or someone who loves sports to help them reach their next level and help kids get in the game.
And have you like met a bunch of friends that are still close with you, like that you just probably wouldn't think, and people watch TV and like, oh, are they really friends, or are they really dating, or what's actually going on? But
well, we call ourselves a dysfunctional family.
Okay.
Because you got to realize we're all fighting for $1 million.
Yeah.
People
are your friends, but you're not.
We're not, right? You don't know who's lying to you. You don't know if she really likes me or what the case may be.
Yep.
So, man, I've met some of my best friends on that show. Somebody I could call my brother. I'm really known for an iconic moment. I gave up $1 million.
Wow.
For my best friend because he was about to have a kid. And, getting to know this guy named Corey, him and I both grew up in poverty with no father. And I knew that I was going to be okay. I didn't have no kids and I didn't really have nobody to take care of back home at that time. So I was like, you know what? I sacrificed myself, went into elimination for him so he can get a chance at winning that $1 million. Yeah, man. It was the most iconic moment ever. It's still to this day, people look at me and it's like, wow, Nelson.
Wow. And how has that changed his life? Like,
well, he didn't win the show.
Okay.
He made it to the final, but he didn't win. But, you know, he's doing amazing right now. But I think I showed people at that time that it's nothing wrong with showing compassion, being vulnerable, and showing that, you know, it's nothing wrong with putting yourself out there and realizing what's best. You know, at that time, of course I could have used that money. Of course I would have loved to travel the world and buy the Ferrari or whatever the case may be. But I knew he would have done really good with that money and gave his kids the opportunities that I didn't have.
Yeah, I think you watch some of those shows and you're like, oh, are they acting? Are they doing it for the wrong reasons? But you can tell the people that genuinely are authentic on shows like that where there's a money prize at the end. So I commend you for being real on that show. So talk a little bit about, you know, why you're here tonight. So Wiggle Your Toes nonprofit here in Minnesota. You came up from Dallas. You know, what brought you here tonight?
You know, I want to give a big shout out to Wiggle Your Toes. I want to give a big shout out to Aaron. I want to give a big shout out to the limb loss world for opening their arms and embracing me and not judging me for anything. And, you know, when I made the decision to walk into that hospital to cut off my foot, it was the hardest decision of my life. Yeah. Imagine having your foot for 36 years, competing around the world, not knowing anything else. And now you got to cut off my foot. It felt like my identity was taken away from me. And I was going through depression. I was going through anxiety. But then I did my due diligence. And then the Paralympics were on while I was in the hospital.
Wow.
I know, right? This is a sign from God.
100%.
It was a sign from God. And I looked at my mom at one point, you know, before I knew I had to cut off my foot, when a doctor had mentioned that. And I looked at her and said, Mom, if I got to cut off my foot, I don't want to be here no more. And she cried. You know, I could see the tears, I could see the sadness, but I was hurting, you know, and I went to church, but I went to church to check off the box. I didn't really go to church, if that kind of makes sense to you.
I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Relate to that? So then my friend did Bible study. I started joining Bible study. I started praying. And then I said, God, like, what do I do? I don't know where to go. I don't know if I should go left, if I should go right. But then Aaron, Wiggle Your Toes, walked into my life and said, look, Nelson, all those things you were doing before, you can still do. There's no limit. Look at all these guys, limb loss, double amputees, above amputees, changing the world. And I was like, you know what? Okay, let's do it. God gave me this platform, and I feel like he's using me as a shuttle to show people there's no limits of what you can do.
Because did you have an option to? Because you were in a car accident. So what was going on with your leg? Like what was the reason why you had to make that decision? So
I had two options. Okay. I could have kept my foot.
Okay.
I could have got a TTC fusion or an ankle fusion, but then after talking to different amputees, you know the biggest thing they regret is not cutting it off sooner. Yes, I was like, what? Like, what? Did I hear that right?
Right.
And he said the quality of life is so much better on the other side. And I was like, okay, there's a lot of people in this world nowadays walking around with pain because they're scared of getting judged because they look different, you know? And I was like, okay, what do I do? You know, do I go through with this and cutting my foot off, or do I stick it out and go surgery after surgery? This is my 8th surgery.
Wow.
I went all the way to Mexico to get stem cells. Nothing was working. So I was like, okay.
Was your foot just kind of not working?
It was. So I had 2 plates, 22 screws in there, going to rehab. 3 months. I was walking a little bit. I was tiptoeing.
Yeah.
And one day I wake up, I had this excruciating pain. And my doctor said, oh, it's maybe just nerve pain. Well, it didn't go away. I walk into the office, they get x-rays. I'm in that office for about an hour by myself. I'm like, what's going on? They come into the room, tell me to sit down, say, Nelson, those plates broke in half. The entire time I was doing rehab.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was putting the pressure on those screws and those plates. So I was like, And that's when they gave me the option, say, we can do this, an ankle fusion or a TTC fusion, but you won't have no dorsiflex. Now, for everyone out there that don't know what a dorsiflex is, it's when you can move your ankle like this, up and down. I wouldn't be able to do it. It would be stiff, and I'll still be in pain. So after talking to the doctors, after praying about it, and, you know, getting closer to God and my faith, I walked into that hospital and said, you know what, March 5th of 2024, let's cut it off. You want to know something crazy? March 5th of 2023 is when I got into the car accident.
So it was exactly a year.
Exactly a year. March 5th of 2025, I booked my first Nike commercial as a prosthetic. Crazy, right?
Hey everyone, I want to take a quick moment to tell you about the In Sports Foundation. At In Sports, we're all about helping kids get more involved in sports. We do this through providing free camps, scholarships, and team sponsorships, all to help reduce the cost of sports and getting more kids into the game. Through sports, kids can learn valuable life lessons, stay active, and maintain their mental well-being. To support our mission and help us get more kids into the game, visit our website at insportsfoundation.org to make a donation. Together, we can make a difference. So in this way, you're like, I mean, it's like, would you regret this happening? Like has it opened so many doors in community that you're like, it's a blessing from God, or would, if that car accident wouldn't happen, would you take that away?
No. I would take the car accident away, but I think it was the biggest blessing because there's a story behind everything. At that time I got into that car accident, I was going through a lot. You know, a friend of mine had just committed suicide. She jumped off a third-floor building, and I tried to catch her. And for 45 minutes, I stood there as she bled out. And I thought I could just bury it. I thought I could just, you know, not think about it. But then I was screaming at night. I was crying. I felt like ghosts were following me. And those 2 months before that, I was supposed to go on my next show, the 10th season. And everyone thought I was winning the next one, everyone. But then that all happened. And one of the biggest things I wanted to get out of this is that you have to take care of your mental. You can't just bury it, because everything that you bury comes to the surface. And at that time, you know, I thought I could cover it, mask it with drinking, with drugs, anything, friends, partying, and I wasn't just right. So that's what led into everything. But it was the biggest blessing. And what I'm so thankful for, that car accident, that I didn't hurt nobody else but myself. Yeah. That is the biggest thing.
Do you have a different mindset now every time you wake up in the morning? Is you know, what is Nelson thinking when he gets out of bed?
What I'm thinking, the only thing I'm thinking is saying thank you. You know, I used to ask God, why? Why me? What did I do to deserve this? But now, I put my hands together and I say thank you for everything. Thank you for putting me through these fires that I needed to go through to change my life, because no telling where I would have been at if that accident did not happen.
It's just being grateful for being here and you know, having people that care about you and being able to serve others. And
oh man, you know, to be able to tell my mom I love her. Moms are God gifts to earth. Dads are too. I'm not a dad yet, but I know you are. But moms, you know, the love she showed me, she never judged me. She supported me, and she really brought me back to life. And I thank her so much, man. I want to give her the world. And everything that's unfolding in front of my eyes, I feel like it was supposed to happen. And sometimes we're blocking our blessings because we want what we want. We don't see what God has planned for us because we want things now. But we have to be patient. We have to be open to other things. And that's what the limb loss community did for me. That's what Wiggle Your Toes did for me. So now there's a lot of things that are unfolding in the future, man.
Oh, so yeah, tell me about Paralympics. You know, what does that look like? What do you need to do to get to that point? When is the next one coming up? What's that look like?
The Paralympics, you know what's crazy? the next Paralympics, the Olympics, is in LA.
Okay.
Where I grew up at.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow. I'm sure it's spread out a little bit, but because they do the Paralympics right after the Olympics,
Yeah,
right?
right
Okay.
there, right there. I know where they're doing it at. I used to
Crazy.
walk around that when I was a kid.
Crazy.
That's crazy, right? So, I had a trip up to the field house, and I'm looking at the 200 and the long jump in 2028. And I know a lot of fans out there are asking me, are you going to go back to the challenge? Well, let me tell you something. Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Now, for the Paralympics, are there, when is that qualifying? What are you doing for training? Like, what to talk about, like, how are you preparing for that?
Well, I train at Adaptive Training Foundation, ATF. It's to everyone out there, if you're a new limb loss or you're looking to get physically or mentally stronger, look into ATF. We offer scholarships to where we bring in people for 8 weeks. We train them, get used to their prosthetic or whatever they're going through. And then next thing you know, once you walk out that door, you walk out a whole different person. Mm-hmm. It's not about the physicality, it's about the mental and the spiritual. Mm-hmm. You grow so much more. So I'm there. When I moved to Dallas, Texas, I've been there training every day with my coach, Tim. And we're just preparing. We don't know what we're preparing for, or if we do, I can't tell you. But yeah, man, it's just getting ready to compete with these guys. These guys are fast.
Yeah.
I thought I was an athlete. Right. I was like, we got a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do.
Well, if you had any advice to give somebody who's going through a tough time, and just learning from some of the resilience things that you've learned through having to make that decision to cut off your foot and being an amputee, like what advice would you give somebody that's just going through a tough time?
I think you said it, resilience. Mm-hmm. That is the biggest thing. I'm writing this book right now. I've been writing it since I was in the hospital. And one thing I mentioned in that book is that everyone wants to tell you that there's light at the end of the tunnel, but everyone's journey is different. You might get a glimpse of light from your friends, your family, your kids, but at the end of the day, when those lights turn off, it's on you. Are you willing to put your willingness to adapt and achieve your goals? Because there's no limit to anything that you can do if you keep on going and you keep the faith and keep your family and friends close to you.
Just keep the consistency.
Consistency.
Keep driving. You're going to have tough days. But...
Oh, tough days. But tough days make tough people. Mm-hmm. It's going to rain, it's going to storm, but the sun's going to come out one day. And when it does, you're going to look back at everything and realize, like, okay, God, I see what you were doing.
Awesome. Well, I know you've got a big event coming up. Your keynote speaking here tonight. Yes. So wiggle your toes. So I could talk to you for hours, I think.
Yeah, we can.
All right. Well, maybe we can reconnect at some point and keep the conversation going. But I really appreciate your time coming all the way up to Minnesota to be a part of this. There's a lot going on in Minnesota right now, so I think just being here to help support means a lot.
It's a blessing to be here, and I'm so thankful for being here and to represent Wiggle Your Toes, and I'm so blessed just to be here talking to you. You giving us a platform to let people know that there's hope out there. Mm-hmm. There is light at the end of the tunnels, and with communities like Wiggle Your Toes willing to help you and achieve all your goals, that's what it's all about, man.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you. Thanks for being here.
Appreciate you, man. It. Anytime. Yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Athletes in Sports podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and want to hear more from inspiring athletes, we encourage you to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on all of our social media channels.